I'm High Score Girl, and you're watching Book versus Movie versus Game, a series that sizes up the various media some of our favorite characters and storylines have been translated to. We're going to take a look at titles like Cowboy Bebop, Bill and Ted, Dexter's Laboratory, and a lot more. So like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Shut your noise tube, human! It's time to talk about Invader Zim. The animated series Invader Zim was created by comic book artist and writer Jhonen Vasqez and produced by and aired on Nickelodeon from 2001 to 2002. It followed the inept efforts of the eponymous alien invader and his robot sidekick Gur, as well as the young human boy Dib's attempt to foil Zim's ploys for world domination. Appealing to a slightly more mature demographic and pushing the limits of acceptable children's content, Zim forged a path in many ways for the dark and bizarre animated content that's ubiquitous today, like Adventure Time, Rick and Morty, Steven Universe. Invader Zim was initially a success, but it ran into ratings and budgetary struggles in its second season, which left several episodes unaired until the DVD release in 2004. Starting in 2015, the saga continued in a monthly comic series which still runs, now in a quarterly format. In 2019, the animated film Enter the Florpus was released on Netflix and retains a 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes to this day. The comic series began with Truth Shrieker, a riff on National Enquirer-style tabloids making outrageous claims of Dib-like proportions. Ant ghosts, ghost chairs, a spell to turn your arms into hot dogs, and of course, investigating the disappearance of Invader Zim. The second issue, The Returning Part 1, is nearly identical to the setup of the animated film. Some of the dialogue is the same word for word. Zim has been in hiding while Dib waits and watches and devolves into a smelly flesh wad. The conclusion of that issue and The Returning Part 2 depart pretty much entirely from the plot of the film, although both involve Dib giving intergalactic chase while Zim pursues his latest grab for world domination. The illustrations, the layout, and the writing are all spot on, and the hardcover collection that I picked up is stunning in its overall presentation. Now, although they've lost the benefits of animation, movement, emotion, and even sound are really effectively communicated in print. I'm still catching up on the 50 monthlies that got released and getting started on the quarterlies that began this year, the latest installment of which comes out this Wednesday, September 23rd, but I've flipped through several of them and have not been disappointed yet. Check out issue 6 for a fun trolling of Donald Trump. Netflix gave us Invader Zim Enter the Florpus just last year, nearly 2 decades after the show's premiere. It clocks in at slightly over an hour and has received pretty much unanimous praise for its visuals, storytelling, and faithfulness to the tone and aesthetic of the series, even after all this time. It's kind of fun to read along with The Returning Part 1 as the movie gets going, but when the similarities end, we're still left with a solid storyline, quotables, and offbeat hilarity. The production quality is absolutely outstanding, and everything in the movie is so true to the original, it's easy to forget the show has been off the air for so long. As for games, Zim has been featured in a handful of Nickelodeon titles, including the upcoming Kart Racers 2 for the Switch. There have also been a couple of Zim-exclusive Flash games on the Nickelodeon website, one released in 2018 that's still available to play. FYI, it's a little clunky, but I mean, it's a Flash game. The sound bites and visual references are still entertaining. Nevertheless, Invader Zim hasn't really gotten a video game of its own yet. Now, if you've seen my Clarissa Explains It All video, you know I have a penchant for Nickelodeon's golden age as well as game dev, so Jhonen, if you're watching, hit me up. Until then, I decided to go in a different direction for this episode and grabbed the Invader Zim Doomsday Dice game. So the gameplay is a pretty cool concept. You choose one of 4 characters and have to collect device cards to build the ultimate doomsday machine or defense mechanism based on the character you choose. The items to build your device are all references from the show. A Chicky Licky Bucket, Zim's Robo-Parents, Pig, Mini Moose, and Poop Cola. Roll a dice to activate the cards and power your device, damage your opponent, or draw more cards. You can also earn sabotage cards to mess up other players' machines. Now, if you've ever played any trading card game like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, it shouldn't take long to get the hang of it. The cards have innate properties, but you'll need strategy and the luck of the roll to use them to their full potential. Be the first player to fully power your machine and you win. You probably noticed I didn't rate these titles as I went, and that's because they were so hard to stack up against each other. I absolutely loved all of this content, and immersing myself in it really brought me back to the good old days. Classic Nicktoons were such a huge part of my childhood. Stickly practically raised me, and I was just the right age by the time Invader Zim came out. Also, I was way too young when I got into Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, but that's another episode. As unlikely as it sounds, this episode of book versus movie versus game is a draw. Comic interpretation, the animated film, the dice game, they all get a perfect 10 out of 10. Seriously, if you haven't revisited the Zimverse in a while, do yourself a favor and check it out. Even the Flash game on Nick Australia is worth your time. The teams that brought us this dark and frenetic story did a bang-up job with every iteration. If you want to learn more, I highly recommend picking up The Art of Invader Zim, published July 2020, which serves as the definitive guide to the print and screen history of the franchise. And for the truly dedicated superfan, InvaderCon is set to return in 2021. So let me know your favorite Zim moments in the comments and how your ratings would compare with mine. I'm High Score Girl, and thanks for watching Book versus Movie versus Game.